Hi, Eastside. It's another beautiful Saturday, so let's go outside. I have an idea of something cool we can do that'll be fun. We can be spring detectives. Have you ever been a spring detective? I see something right in my grass that I never saw before this year. Let's be spring detectives about this. Can you see all those brown things sticking up all over the grass? I've never seen those before. That's something new. Well, it's probably not new. It's probably that I've never noticed it before. If you don't notice things, you're not a good detective. So today we're going to be good detectives. Let's check these out. What is this? Oh, look. Can you see it? This is a maple key. Maple keys fall off the maple trees in the fall, and they spin around and they get caught on the wind because they have this wing here. And this part of the maple key is the seed of the maple tree. And it falls on the ground and it spends all winter under the snow. The question is, why are all these maple keys sticking up in the air? So let's look closely. Here's one that's sticking up. Can you see it? Can you see it really close? Can you see this one? What's on the bottom? Look, there's something coming out of it. That maple key has sent down a root. Watch this. We're going to pull this out. I know you feel badly killing things, but this lawn's going to be mowed anyway. Look. Whoa! Look at that long root that maple key sent out. That's the beginning of a brand new baby maple tree. Now look, the maple key, we no longer need this, so that falls off. And inside is the beginning of the plant. What do you think that is? Let's see if we can find some that have grown a little bit more. Look over here. Look. Here's a bunch of them actually. Here's a good one. Can you see that? Look at that. Here's one. The maple key has fallen off, the wing structure, and inside these two little leaves are unfolding. Now, do these leaves look like maple leaves to you? They don't to me. Look, here's a maple leaf that's lying on the ground from last year. It doesn't really look exactly like a maple leaf because it's brown. But do you see it's the shape of a maple leaf, just like what we have on our flag? We all know what maple leaves look like. And that's not what these leaves look like. Now, we could think, okay, those are going to turn into maple leaves, but I'm going to tell you something. They're not. These are special leaves. They're called seed leaves or cotyledons. And they're found in the seed. They come out of the seed at the beginning, and they give the energy, they collect the energy from the sun and give it to the plant so the plant can start growing. In the center there, between the two leaves, is the growing tip. Can you see that? And that's what's going to become the maple tree. So, another 25 years, if I don't mow this lawn, it's going to be every one of these brown wings sticking up is going to turn into a maple tree, and I'm going to have a whole maple forest here. But actually, I am going to mow my lawn, so we won't have any. What do you think about being a spring detective? Shall we keep being spring detectives? Yeah, this is fun. Let's go look at something else. Okay, I want to show you something that I bet you'll find somewhere in your garden, or maybe out by the road. Come here and look down here. This is the first flower that blooms all over the northeastern part of North America. It's called coltsfoot. Now I want to show you something about coltsfoot. Coltsfoot has this scaly stem. That's how you're going to recognize it. And then it has these yellow, tiny petals. And do you see that there's a bunch in the middle and then they come around the sides? It's related to the daisy, and the daisy grows the same way. It has yellow center and then white petals coming out on the sides. Now, coltsfoot comes up straight up like a flower, and then later on, its leaves come up. So it's very different from dandelions. Now, lots of people confuse coltsfoot and dandelions, but they're not the same, and I'm going to show you the difference, and then you'll know. And if anybody says to you, oh, look, the dandelions are up, you're going to say, I think that's coltsfoot. You're going to say it politely, of course, but you're going to know the difference. Now, look, come down here again. So here's my coltsfoot. There's a stem, scaly stem, and a flower. This, right here, is a dandelion. The dandelion, the leaves come up first. Look, I'm going to show you the leaf of the dandelion. Do you see how the leaves go in and out like spikes? Almost like teeth. And that's why it's called the dandelion. Isn't that cool? Because the French word for teeth is dents, D-E-N-T-S. Excuse my pronunciation. So these are the dents de lion, the teeth of the lion. So this, every time you see this leaf, you think to yourself, lion teeth. And you'll remember that that's the dandelion, not the coltsfoot, who at this time of year has no leaves. On this picture of the dandelion, you can see the lion's teeth, but you can also see the flower. And this flower grows up on a smooth stem. There are no scales on its stem, the way there are on the coltsfoot. In this picture, you can see the mature coltsfoot. Look at the leaf. It is large and flat. It does not have any teeth or dents de lion. Here is the mature flower of the coltsfoot and the dandelion. You can see the difference really clearly if you look at the center of the flower. So another way to be a spring detective is to look at the plants when they're still really little and see if you can find clues for what they're going to look like when they're big. And then you can tell what they are. So we're going to look at a couple of flowers that are growing in my flower garden right here. And we're going to try and figure out whether we can tell what they're going to be when they grow taller. So come over here and look. These are two flowers that you might actually have growing up in your garden. This one has a wide leaf that's very, very pointed at the top. Do you see that sharp point? It's almost sharp if you touch it, and it's hard. So it's a wide leaf that comes to a point at the top. And do you see this reddish color on the outside of the leaf? See that? Now this leaf, by comparison, or by contrast, is longer and narrower. It's a yellower color. And the point at the top is not, if you feel it, it's not as sharp. It's a rounder point. This one also has a flower coming up right now, and this one doesn't, but that's not really a clue. So the question is, I know I have two flowers that are going to grow in this garden. One of them is going to be a tulip, and one of them is going to be a daffodil. Which one do you think this one is, and which one's this one? Let's look at some pictures of grown-up daffodils and grown-up tulips and see if you can figure it out. Here is a picture of the mature daffodil flower. As you can see, it has a narrow leaf with a soft point at the top. Here is the mature tulip. It has a wide leaf with a very sharp pointed tip. So you're right. Look, this is the tulip. And this is the daffodil. The daffodil, when it's a baby, has a long, thin leaf, and the tulip has a wider leaf that's pointed at the top. Good job being a spring detective and figuring out what we're seeing in the garden. So now, let's stop being spring detectives and let's go and be spring artists, because that's fun too. Hey, you know what I have in my pocket? Chalk. You have chalk? So now that we've been spring detectives, we can be spring artists because we know what we're drawing. So let's do some drawing here. Come a little closer so you can see. Here's my chalk. I got white chalk. I got colors of chalk. Let's draw the leaves first. Do you remember what kind of leaves a tulip had? Tulip didn't have a long skinny leaf, right? That was a daffodil. It had a fat, pointed leaf, like this. How many should we draw? Very pointy. Let's draw 3. 3 is always a good number. Then we want a stem. Uh-oh, my word's in the way. Oh well, it'll still look beautiful. Who cares? Now I'm going to do my flower. I like red tulips. Tulips are very easy to draw. Look how easy that was. A tulip has a petal like this shape, and then another one like that, but it goes in behind. And there's your tulip. That's all you have to do to get a tulip. Then you draw the stem, and then you draw the leaves. And maybe you only want 2 that time. Okay, how about some daffodils? Daffodils are yellow. They're bright spring yellow. Daffodils are harder to draw than tulips because daffodils have this flat area like this. 5 petals coming out, and then they have a horn that comes out the middle. So watch this. And the horn has a little fringe on it. Oh, this is getting fancy. I'm going to smudge it. Does that look like a daffodil to you? Let's give it a stem. Now remember what kind of leaves the daffodils have? They have long, narrow leaves. So don't make them fat like that. Make them long and narrow. Now maybe you have some dark green. I don't have any dark green, so I can't make dark green leaves. I can only make light green. That's okay. It's all going to be beautiful anyway. Let's try it. All right, what else did we look at? What else did we figure out about? I remember colt's foot. Should we draw colt's foot? What do we remember about colt's foot? We need our yellow. Colt's foot, remember, there are no leaves. There's only a stem, which is scaly. Scaly stem. At this time of year. Later on, there'll be leaves. And remember, it had a bunch of petals in the middle, and then it had little tiny petals coming out all the way around, like the sun. Wow, that looks quite a bit like colt's foot. Now don't put any leaves down here, because there's no leaves. Let's label it. Colt's. Oops, I forgot the L. C-O-L-T-S. Colt's foot. Isn't that fun? We can be spring detectives, and we can also be spring artists. Let's see how beautiful you can make your sidewalk this week. Bye, Eastside.